Never has it become more apparent to me than it is now, how we can be standing next to another person and be existing in two completely alternate realities. I think there are two diametrically opposed perceptions of reality, existing in the same place. One is primarily influenced by the government, media, pharmaceutical propaganda, and the trusted experts that are hand-selected by these governing entities. The other is primarily influenced by lived experiences, intuition, logic that's consistent and coherent, and observations. You see, when people do their research before they purchase property or buy a product or a car, they would be called smart consumer. But when you start doing research of your own, instead of blindly trusting the experts, you will most likely be called a conspiracy theorist.
I am Werner von Braun. This motion picture was produced to enable you to experience more personally and vividly the most dramatic events of the Apollo 11 story. The pictures and sounds are real, recorded in real time, where the action really was. So, come with us. We are going to the moon.
6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. Ignition sequence start.
We choose to go to the moon. We choose to go to the moon in this decade and do the other things, not because they are easy, but because they are hard.
I think it means that the job of landing something on the moon where there's no atmosphere and using a rocket to slow it up and having the equipment still work is a very difficult job.
We've been brought in here by Stanley Kubrick to more or less ensure the scientific integrity of the film, to make sure that it's very, very close in reality, but still we want to make certain that it has a base of reality.
Before the end of the 60s, we will see a man to the moon, an American, and we're very proud that our country continues to produce these young men who go so far and carry with them so much.
To put people on the moon and with enough fuel to enable them to return safely home to Earth requires a still larger and more powerful rocket, however.
It's going to take some time, and I think we have to recognize it. They secured these large boosters, which have led to their being first in Sputnik and led to their first putting their man in space. We are, I hope, going to be able to carry out our efforts with due regard to the problem of the life of the man involved this year. But we are behind.
However, let us imagine for a moment that the many problems have been solved. We are ready to begin our first voyage to the moon.
It is quite possible that an aggressor nation that dominates space will then dominate the world.
We're in the final assembly building of the LEM. Stanley Kubrick and I have set ourselves several objectives. We hope to convey to the public the wonder and beauty and promise of the new age of exploration which is opening up before the human race.
Arthur, here we are on the LEM ship, and one can almost imagine we're on our way to the moon, or we've arrived at the moon, as a matter of fact.
Can you believe it? Can you realize that that you and I, that all of us, have actually begun the exploration of another world? We have taken the first historic step into our solar system.
Take one.
It's one small step for man, one giant leap for mankind.
Take two.
It's one small step for man, one giant leap for mankind.
We, the crew of Apollo 11, are privileged to represent the United States in our first attempt to take man to another heavenly body.
Man walks on the moon. Man walks on the moon. The first man from Earth walked on the surface of the moon this morning, and the suspense here in London is unbelievable.
Hello, Apollo 11, Houston. Okay, Neil, we can see you coming down the ladder now. Okay, Neil, we can see you coming. I'm going to step off the limb now.
Neil and Buzz, the President of the United States is in his office now and would like to say a few words to you. Over.
That would be an honor.
Go ahead, Mr. President. This is Houston out.
Hello, Neil and Buzz. I'm talking to you by telephone from the Oval Room at the White House. And this certainly has to be the most historic telephone call ever made in the whole history of man. All the people on this earth are truly one. One in their pride in what you have done. And one in our prayers that you will return safely to earth.
Presented by NASA, the National Aeronautics and Space Administration.
Hey everybody, this is Gary Fawn, and it is the anniversary of the Apollo 11th moon launch. I'm seeing so many things across my feed saying, wow, what an amazing achievement, man landing on the moon. And I couldn't let that go without kind of chiming in, as a professional photographer, some of the problems that I saw with the photographs that were purportedly taken on the moon. I do have an issue with it, and I'll show you what the different inconsistencies are, and then you can decide for yourself. Now, I'm saying that as an expert because I was a professional photographer for 20 years, and I shot most of my career with Hasselblad cameras. So I know these cameras inside and out. I know how to load the film in the dark. I know how to operate it, and I even know the sound that the camera makes if there's a problem with the leaf shutter. And I'm not alone. There's a lot of photographers who photographed millions of exposures with Hasselblad cameras. And for those of you very valued professionals, seasoned professionals who are experts in Hasselblads, you'll probably appreciate this a tiny bit more because I'm going to go into a little bit of technical detail explaining why these photographs from the moon probably didn't come from the moon. Now, not only was I a professional photographer who used Hasselblad cameras, I was also sponsored by Hasselblad as a visiting lecturer for Hasselblad University. And I also was the operator of Pictage Incorporated, the largest pro digital film lab in the United States at the time. And so I know a lot about handling of film, how it's processed. I know a lot about film characteristics. And I know a lot about the Ektachrome 160 film that they shot on the moon. And therefore I can talk meaningfully about why the camera probably didn't 100% impossible with the camera that I actually held, the decommissioned moon camera that I held in my hands, absolutely could not have delivered those images.
gets a little better. I see the wall that we can break down together. Stand strong, it gets a little better now. We can break it down, yes, we can break it. Stand tall, it gets a little better. I see the wall that we can break down together. Stand strong, it gets a little better now. We can break it down, yes, we can break it. Yes, we can break it down, we can break it. Like an only takes so much. The pressure men come to pressure us. Oh, they came to watch us fall. Oh yes, they came to watch us fall. But we will rise up against them all. So I stand tall, it gets a little better. I see the wall that we can break down together. Stand strong, it gets a little better now. We can break it down, yes, we can break it. Stand tall, it gets a little better. I see the wall that we can break down together. Stand strong, it gets a little better now. We can break it down, yes, we can break it. Yes, we can break it down, we can break it. Pardon me if I'm too loud, gonna sing my song, gonna sing it proud. No one's gonna bring me down, gonna stand up strong, gonna hold my ground. Tell me what are we fighting for? Just to do what we've done before. Tell me what are we fighting for? Pardon me if I'm too loud, gonna sing my song, gonna sing it proud. No one's gonna bring me down, gonna stand up strong, gonna hold my ground. Tell me what are we fighting for? Just to do what we've done before. Tell me what are we fighting for? Stand tall, it gets a little better. I see the wall that we can break down